if you can hear this audio, we are now with video over on YouTube. So if for some reason you decide hearing our voices isn't enough and you need to see our faces as well, head over to our YouTube. This will either already be up or will be going live very soon, and you can enjoy it there in its full pictured glory, and you can see how irate we get at things. If you're sticking with audio, continue listening as you are.
Yeah, and there'll be, like, moving forward, if you watch our TikToks or our YouTube shorts, you'll start seeing the video over on those as well. So, a little upgrade to things.
Okay, now, episode 7. Last week was a pretty short episode.
Yeah, pretty quiet week.
We didn't have a lot going on that week. This week, however, has come good. So, like, this could be a situation where people need to strap in, because this could be a decently lengthy episode. We got some stuff to cover.
Yep.
So I made a throwaway comment last week. I'm not sure people pay that much attention, but at the minute, Batman's all that's coming out, so it's getting all of our airtime.
Oh, yeah.
While that is not going to be the case for the majority of the episode, he is still going to get the first bit of the airtime, because our character profile this week is on Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, we're gonna get Batman out of the way first, and then I think everyone knows what's going to be coming.
So obviously we've got the Batman film coming up, and the last couple of weeks I've been going over some of the antagonists. This week and next week we're going to talk about people that are in Batman's corner helping him. So Commissioner James Gordon is, I would say, alongside Alfred, Batman's longest running ally.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he dates back to Batman's first appearance in Detective Comics, or not far after. I don't think necessarily he was an ally straight away. There was a little bit of time where he was like I understand why you're doing this, but don't agree with it kind of character. And then over time, we've slowly, as with all comic book characters, you slowly mold in what kind of a character this person's going to be. And then even more recently, a lot of depth has been added to the backstory of Commissioner Gordon. So they decided they didn't want him to be this person who just stands there and flicks a light on the back signal and then Gotham gets saved. They wanted to add a little bit more to him. So as well as being a brilliant detective, not as good as the world's greatest detective, Batman himself, but a very, very intelligent and keen detective. He's also was a part of the army in his younger days, so he's very well trained in using weapons and tactics and hand-to-hand combat. So he can look after himself, but he's not enhanced in any way. He's not freakishly strong or fast. He's a man who's often depicted like late 40s, early 50s with his iconic mustache and cigar. Especially in more recent comics where he's been depicted as even older, maybe 60s and early 70s. He's, I'd say, probably below average health because of all the cigars he smoked in his younger days. That I'm pretty sure he now has a heart condition in the comics. So I'm very curious. I'm going to address the elephant in the room, and if for whatever reason this causes some people to not want to listen to this anymore, I think they aren't people we wanted anyway. But for the first time, Commissioner Gordon being played by a black man in the Batman film.
Oh.
It's nothing. James Gordon being white adds nothing to the character. No. Cool. So if for some reason him now being played by a black actor is an issue for you, feel free to leave and not come back.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see how they portray him in this, because we know it's like a year one Batman. Like, this is what we know.
Mm-hmm.
But in some of the trailers, we see Commissioner Gordon talking to the Batman.
Yeah, they've definitely, from the trailer, you definitely get the sense that they kind of already have a kind of established relationship.
Yeah, or at the very least, that Gordon's willing to hear this guy out because he knows how corrupt Gotham is, and he's willing to take any help he can get.
Mm.
But I am very keen to see how this plays out, and I think he's, as always, going to be a brilliantly executed character, just like Gary Oldman's was.
Yeah.
In the Dark Knight series. The comic that I've chosen this week, it isn't as easy with Commissioner Gordon because he's very much a side character despite being a brilliant one. I've decided to go with The Killing Joke, which is probably a name that people know. So that'll be linked down below. But the reason I chose that was that is the comic in which Barbara Gordon, his daughter, who was also Batgirl, got shot and became paralyzed. And he gets kidnapped in that by the Joker because the Joker's trying to prove to Batman that no matter how good someone is, there's a breaking point for everyone. So I think this comic, although he isn't the centerpiece of it, I think this comic really shows how Commissioner Gordon can really be trusted by Batman to always uphold his morals.
Yeah.
So that's why I chose that one. Regardless, it's a brilliant comic. I recently got it myself, and I'm very, very excited to read it again. But that's what I've recommended for you guys this week, if that's what you want to get into. Okay, that is all. Actually, no, I'm going to put this in now as well, because we're not coming back to it afterwards. I have booked my tickets for the Batman.
Oh wait, you can book tickets already?
Yeah, me and my girlfriend, father, and brother will be attending the midnight showing from March 3rd into March 4th. So, for those of you who don't know, we record on Thursdays. So I will literally be finishing the recording on that Thursday, getting myself ready, going to the cinema to watch the Batman, and I couldn't be more excited. So if I seem even more energetic and crazy in 2 episodes' time, just know it's because I'm literally shaking, going, "Can we finish the recording so I can go watch the Batman?"
If we have a short episode in a couple of weeks, you know why.
just me bouncing up and down in the camera.
I'll probably. Oh, I don't know. I might end up going on the Friday. I don't know if I'll go midnight.
Yeah. But what that does mean is, because it's coming out on a Friday, our episode for that week will already be out. So it gives you guys a week to make sure you've seen it before you have to worry about spoilers in our episode, which is good. Although it would have been nice to do an episode like literally the day after we'd seen it, but we work with what we work with.
Yeah, I mean, it gives us plenty of time to mull over what we've watched.
Yeah. Okay, that is Batman talk out of the way.
Yes, onto what everyone's probably been waiting for.
Marvel came in huge with the Super Bowl ads this week and the TV spots.
I'm going to be completely honest. Like, I obviously remembered Super Bowl was on this last week, but like, it never really went through my head last week's episode that, it's Super Bowl week, maybe we'll get something from like Marvel trailers or anything. It completely went out of my head.
As a general rule, Disney have like 3 different ads during the Super Bowl, and one of them at the bare minimum is normally Marvel related. So I knew we'd get something, but I assumed it'd be a Moon Knight TV spot or maybe a Doctor Strange TV spot. I didn't expect it to be like an entire new, like 2-minute Doctor Strange trailer. But we're going to start with Moon Knight because there's less there to unpack, and then we can get into the nitty gritty that is that Doctor Strange trailer. So we didn't get a whole lot of new footage in Moon Knight. We did, I think, get a better impression of the tone.
Yes.
I think while there is definitely going to be some times where it's quite dark, there's also a fair bit of light in that trailer. And I think that could be a theme we see throughout the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see more of Ethan Hawke's character, who's some kind of cult leader.
Yeah.
Which is a relationship I'm very interested to see develop.
And he had his weird moving tattoo or whatever was going on with his arm.
But the big thing for me was we saw a different Moon Knight suit.
Yes, which came out as, I think that just came out as a picture, right?
It did, didn't it? It wasn't in the actual TV spot.
No, it wasn't in the TV spot.
There was a couple of stills that got released alongside the TV spot, and one of them was him in a very iconic, literal all-white suit with a face mask on. So while that is Moon Knight, far as I'm aware, and again, I don't know everything about Moon Knight. So that when that was his costume, he went by Mr. Knight.
Right.
Which, again, I don't have an opinion. I don't know enough about the character. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I do. But I know some die-hard Moon Knight fans are a little bit concerned because there's a fair bit of character development that takes place in the comics before he's even close to being the person that dons that suit. The Mark Spector, who is Mr. Knight, is very different from Moon Knight. Like, they've been through a lot of things and they've grown as a person. I think Mr. Knight's a bit more mentally stable as well.
Okay.
So I think there is a little bit of concern that maybe they're rushing the story a little bit.
I mean, we also don't, that could be right at the end of the whole season 1.
But also, some people are going, well, don't get too worried because maybe he's been Moon Knight and active as a while, but the personality that the majority of the trailer's has been Stephen Grant, and maybe he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why we're viewing this as an origin story when actually it might not be at all. It might be the story of how Mark Spector goes from crazy vigilante to slightly more sane vigilante.
Yeah, because he starts to learn what's actually going on.
Exactly. But regardless of what the story is and what the story isn't, that suit looked amazing in the trailer.
So good.
If the trailer's anything to go by, Marvel have done a very good job with this TV trailer of not giving anything away and just kind of getting people excited to watch it. I really hope it is as good as it can live up to be, and I think it could be a very nice, refreshing character.
Yeah, the TV spot, it was just well done and kind of showing more of his iconic things, I guess. There was there's the shot of him jumping down and his cape looks like a crescent moon.
Yeah, and we saw it. Did we see
him catching a metal crescent moon?
Yeah, his
like a batarang sort of thing.
Called a boomerang in the real world.
All right. It's because you referred to them as batarangs a few episodes back.
But yeah, so I thought it was a really cool trailer that just give us a bit more of honestly, it was just kind of giving us little shots and stuff, and it's just we're not giving you anything, but here's just a little bit more footage to keep you interested. But I think it was done in quite a cool way.
More than just them showing off a bit more of his suit and his actual a visual style of how he looks.
Yeah. I was pretty happy with what I saw from that, and I'm excited for that show to get going.
I mean, for a Super Bowl TV spot, they're always short and
Disney have a lot of money, but I don't think anyone has enough money for a TV Super Bowl ad to be too long. No. Now, on to the real nitty-gritty of Marvel bringing it this week.
Yeah, the big thing of the week.
So, I haven't actually seen the Doctor Strange TV spot, because apparently there is some footage in the TV spot that wasn't in the trailer, and vice versa.
Yes.
So, I've seen the full trailer. And alongside that, there was also a new poster. Just to get this out of the way, because I know I've ranted about it a couple of times. Thank you for not giving us just a boring big face poster. Wow, what a fucking poster! And we're gonna really have to get into this because there's been some stuffs. But yeah, so I think what we're gonna do first is just talk about the trailer purely as a almost piece of art itself and how we enjoyed it, and not get into the nerdy, did you see this and what do you think this means yet?
Okay.
We'll do that in a little bit, yeah? So as a graphic artist, do you want to talk us through your feelings on that poster?
Oh, it's just, you can tell that the artists, the marketing team behind Doctor Strange compared to the Sony side of things and the films they're doing, you can tell that they're now being given way more freedom to kind of be a bit more creative. And I also, do you remember that back when Spider-Man was still coming out, and I sent you like a poster design done by a fan.
Yeah.
And it showed the black and gold. That guy, he's done like a bunch, and I'm pretty sure he's an artist I follow. I forget his name now, but I'm pretty sure he tweeted out that he was something had happened. He was going to be working with Marvel. So I wonder.
Oh wow.
I wonder if Marvel and like the marketing team have heard that people have got annoyed and are like, okay, let's actually just bring in some artists from the outside to do their visual versions of posters, and it means we're getting cooler posters now.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so cool. Obviously, you've got the multiverse of madness, which is this concept of like, and like this is the imagery that's used a lot in the comics and in other TV shows about the multiverse. Like if you watch What If, there was this kind of idea that shards of glass were like how you peered through the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
So to have him with like all these shards of glass around him, which had some interesting reflections, we'll get into that a bit more in a minute. I just thought visually was a really cool poster, and like it's been a long time. Like I'm not a massive poster on a wall kind of guy anyway, but if I was going to get any, it would be your kind of like Marvel posters and your DC posters. And recently, when I've been considering getting some, I've been looking at them going, oh, there's just a bunch of big face posters. No thanks.
Yeah.
Whereas this Doctor Strange one, I'd happily have that up.
Like I've pulled the poster back up again, and now I'm looking at it again. I'm thinking it's smart because a big thing about Doctor Strange that we've come to learn is the whole mirror universe, like the mirror
dimension.
That's the word. So it kind of plays into that. Obviously, it uses the window in the background that is the iconic window of the sanctuaries. So, and like it being shattered and kind of showing all these fractured, what we are going to presume are different multiverses and things going on. Like
the imagery in it.
Yeah.
The imagery in it is phenomenal. I can't get over it.
And I know there's lots of little Easter egg things.
Yeah, there's so many in there.
I mean, trust the internet to just instantly enhance every single shard of glass.
I'm pretty sure that's been enhanced to 12 million K at this point with people trying to pick out everything. And I mean, I sent it to you in a message a couple of days back, didn't I?
Yeah.
That this has brought that MCU fandom back alive on the internet.
Yeah.
Of like meticulously looking at things, because with Spider-Man we knew there wasn't the potential for it to be that crazy. Everyone kind of had a couple of good ideas of what might happen, and then everyone was just trying to prove that was going to happen. Whereas Doctor Strange, I mean, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, and I think because people now understand the multiverse, people like these trailers really aren't giving us anything. So it's just making people go wild with theories on what could come from the multiverse. Because, like, in a way, all of these theories are possible. It's just, well, we have no idea which direction they're going with it.
So, just to preface this, because I have seen both, like, I've seen a lot of footage over the last couple of days. And like I said before, some of it was only in the TV spot, some of it was only in the YouTube trailer, and there's some crossover. So I will talk about things I saw in there, and I won't be able to tell you which one they're in for certain. I'm sorry. I watch a lot of TikTok where people are breaking this stuff down. My mind is melted with what's come from where. So just try and bear with us.
I've seen both, so I should, like, the major stuff from the TV spot that I know is just in the TV spot, I'll be able to say if you're saying it's from the trailer or not.
Yeah.
I should know.
So, before we talk about all the fun little Easter eggs, the trailer as a whole, what did you think of it? Did you enjoy the trailer for more than its more information factor?
Yes, and I feel like it also, like, overall really kind of, I feel like they've done this before with anything that involves Doctor Strange. Is they show us one thing in a trailer, but then they show us almost the same scene, but it looks different in another trailer.
Yeah.
And I feel like stuff like that's potentially happened, and then I'm like, they're kind of. It showed more on what potentially is going to happen in the storyline, which was super interesting because it's like almost starting to guide us in a direction of what this might go into.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like it just gave us even more new things that I'm like, what the hell? I don't know what any of this is.
I really liked it. I thought it looked lovely. Sam Raimi is the director I really do enjoy. I think the kind of colour and tonage we're going to get is going to be very nice. The one thing I was a little bit surprised about when this film was first released, like its title and when it was coming and stuff, it was kind of sold as it's going to be the first horror film in the MCU. Not getting a lot of that vibe yet, but there's a couple of scenes, like I said, we'll talk about them being seen specifically in a minute. There's a couple of scenes that give that vibe, which makes me think if they've shown that little of that vibe, but they're saying it's quite a big part of the story, that they've not given too much away at all.
Yeah. I think I get the sense that they've shown us some important plot, like some important kind of story beats for directions, but they really haven't shown us what the hell's going to happen at all.
I think Marvel are, at this point, the masters of how not to give too much away in a trailer.
Well, yeah, they've had years of practice now, and they even do stuff, don't they, where they film stuff specifically for the trailer that doesn't actually even do anything for the film.
And they edit footage that goes into the trailer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now, because we're about to go into the Easter eggs, I'm going to kind of put like a semi-spoiler warning, because I don't want anyone, if we predict something that ends up happening, to come back and go, oh, you ruined that for me. That would have been a great thing to not know about. We don't know if anything we're going to say is true here. There are some very likely educated guesses. There are some more long shots. And there's some things that there's one pixel that makes me think it might be happening. So it probably isn't going to happen. So if you literally want to go in and you want to not know anything, you don't want to be looking out for something we say to maybe happen, I would suggest you stop listening now and come back after you've watched the film, or skip forward until we're not talking about this, or whatever. But this is kind of, like I said, none of this is guaranteed. We don't have any proper inside information. We're just going to make educated guesses based on what we know.
Yeah.
Okay, that was your warning. If you're still listening and we say something that ends up happening, just drop a comment going, oh my God, these guys are so smart. Now, I sent you a message earlier in the week saying my brain's been going a million miles an hour with this for the last week.
Yes, you did.
So, Hori, the angel that he is going to try and stop me going off on tangents and finishing the thought before I shoot off in another direction.
I'll try.
But it could get a little bit hectic here, guys, so try and strap in. I want to start with the first trailer.
Okay.
So in the first trailer, we see Doctor Strange go to visit Wanda.
Right, yep.
In this kind of garden.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, I've been waiting for this. And he goes, I'm not here about Westview.
Mm-hmm.
So in the second trailer, there's a bit where Wanda, looking very beautiful and very evil, says, you break the rules and you're treated like a hero. I break the rules and I'm the enemy.
Yep.
The internet being what it is, and based on Hori's tone of voice, I think he knows exactly where I'm going with this.
I do.
Realised that Doctor Strange is wearing the exact same clothes in both of these bits of footage. And there are tree branches behind him in this kind of hellish landscape where she looks a bit evil that line up pretty well with like the cherry blossomy trees. So we're almost certain that this is an illusion that Wanda's constructed around him. I think a very
which
fair
side is the illusion, though?
I think it's the hellscape because she's in her costume. I think that's the real side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw a thing, staying on this I saw a thing after that first trailer where someone had kind of looked back over the trailer, and there's like an aerial shot of the cherry blossom trees and whatever, the house in the middle, and everything is very symmetrical. And like it's very like when you look at it from when you actually pay attention to that shot of like where they're setting up the shot of the cherry blossom trees or whatever, it kind of feels too perfectly like arranged. And then you think, is one just set up another
Westview?
Yeah, another mini Westview bubble just for herself.
Interesting.
And then now, because of this in the new trailer, and was both like seeing people on the internet, and we're both kind of the same mindset of there's some illusion going on there. It kind of makes sense, and I wonder if Strange kind of at some point basically goes, you like tells her to just drop the illusion, like actually kind of realizes that it's an illusion, and she just drops it, and they talk in the real like how it actually looks.
Yeah.
But I think wherever she is, it is some like another Westview sort of mini bubble where she's just kind of controlling what's going on there.
Well, talking of Westview, we also see Wanda back in Westview with herself by the looks of it.
Yes.
Which I don't even know where to begin with that.
My guess with that was either it's their way of showing her experiencing like an like the way Strange went through his mind to check all the timelines. I wonder if Wanda does something similar, and that's like their way of showing her experience a different timeline of Westview where things go differently, or through the multiverses, like she's gone to another timeline and she's seeing herself at the like in the same place but a different timeline.
Yeah,
that was my kind of take on it.
And then I think a big one that a lot of people are discussing is a little bit later. I think it's in the trailer, but it might be the TV spot. I'm sorry. We see Wanda fighting someone who, just like in color and shape and stuff, kind of has like a Captain Marvel kind of look to him.
So that's the TV spot. But yeah, I know
that's the TV spot. Yeah. Okay. So there have been. I don't think I've seen a character not thrown out in the air for who that could be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the characters I've seen that make even a little bit of sense. And then I'm going to kind of rank how good a theory I think it is. So I think the first one I saw was... So you've got Monica Rambeau, who was in WandaVision.
Yep.
Her mum, I forget her mum's first name. It doesn't matter. Everyone knows what I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
So people are saying it's an alternate version where Monica's mum became Captain Marvel that's fighting her.
Oh, okay.
Maria Rambeau. Oh, that felt good to remember. Some people think it could be Superior Iron Man, who's a very interesting person who, once we've got past Batman and I'm doing character profiles about Doctor Strange, I will be talking about, who is rumoured to be played by Tom Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
Some people also think it might be Monica Rambeau fighting her, who's just become Spectre.
Yep.
Spectrum, something like that.
Spectrum, isn't it?
Then there are some people saying it could be Jonathan Majors reprising his role as a variant of Kang.
Oh.
Because there is a variant of Kang who is called Iron Lad.
Oh.
Who is a younger version of Kang that doesn't want to become evil.
Interesting.
And someone hyper zoomed in on the face, and I kind of see the structure of Jonathan Major's face in there, I'll be honest. And I mean, I'm sure someone on the internet somewhere said they think it's Henry Cavill's Superman or something. So they're the main contenders, I think, of who it could be. I think the two most likely are Tom Cruise's Iron Man, Supreme Iron Man, and Kang, Jonathan Majors as Iron Lad.
Okay.
What I will say is I do not think that kind of flamey effect we saw around the person will be there in the actual film.
I
think that is a Marvel editing the trailer
possibly
to throw us off a little bit. That's my hot take.
So regarding to this, I saw another theory.
Oh, okay.
In the TV spot, there is 2 different shots that show that flaming effect of a person.
Yeah.
One of them, you can't really see anything of their face. And then the other one is the one where I think people have enhanced and looked at the face.
Yeah.
And when side by side, it's hard to tell because obviously, like, you're taking it off a trailer and quality's not great. But one theory is that they might actually be 2 different people.
Oh, okay. And they've just done a little bit of trickery.
They look slightly different enough that that could be 2 different characters.
It's very possible.
The theory of the one where like you can see the face more that people have enhanced is Supreme Iron Man. That's kind of like the main theory of what I've seen for that. And then the other one is Monica Rambeau.
Okay. I'm not against either of them theories, and it'd be very Marvel.
Yeah, like they could, because it kind of makes sense for Monica Rambeau to have a similar sort of power effect as that, which I get. And then like Supreme Iron Man, like, we don't know anything about him really in case of the film, so they could do whatever they want with it. But I do think you might be slightly right as well. Like that's just over-edited effects to kind of help hide who it is.
That is purely there to hide it and throw people off a little bit.
The shots, those 2 shots are really short in the TV spot, so it's, it's so hard to even kind of get a beat on who it is or whatever.
And the amount of VFX on that shot would be expensive. So if they're using it to hide something, that would also explain why it's so short.
Yep.
Because you don't want to spend all the money on VFX, then spend even more money to hide it to show some of it off.
Yeah. So.
Okay. I'm trying to not go too far so I don't forget anything. I think the next big one for me is we see a bit more of American Chavez in this trailer. So if for some reason you haven't seen it, go back to, I want to say it's episode 3, might be episode 2 though. I do a character profile on American Chavez. Very interesting.
I think it was 2.
I think it's 2 as well. Anyway, so we see more of her in this trailer, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
We also get to see her throwing them through the multiverse a bit, kicking open her portals. Okay, so I'm going to say one word, and your reaction is going to tell me if you've seen what I've seen.
Okay.
Animation.
I have seen this.
Okay, cool. So you're as excited as I am about what we're about to discuss.
Yes, and this I forget which episode it was. Oh, I think it was one when we were talking about Spider-Man, and I'm going to stay away from spoilers here.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure in an episode I said, it was about Miles Morales and stuff.
Yeah, and you said it'd be cool to see Tom Holland rock up.
Just rock up in the animated world.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, I'm in the wrong place. But maybe it's the other way around.
So in the trailer, we see them falling through portals, and if you slow it down, and the people who've done this, my hat goes out to you. People have slowed it down, and they realised there's like a frame where you see Doctor Strange and American Chavez go from animated to human, and the port on the other side of the portal where they're coming through looks animated in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a pretty confident subsection of the internet, and I'm completely with them. This is one of the ones which I think is more of a educated guess, bordering on fact more than anything else. And granted, we don't know anything about what happens there. It could be a 5-second cameo where they're running through different multiverses.
Yeah.
But at some point, we're getting a little animated world. And I think this might be where it gets to a bit of a stretch. People think it looked very similar to the What If animation style. I don't think the picture quality and the amount of footage is enough to say that for certain.
No.
But people think they might be going through one of the What If situations, maybe from the next season or maybe from a previous season.
Possibly.
But to lead on from that kind of a little bit, and again, I'm really trying not to move too fast. So in What If, we had the zombie episode.
Yep.
People, and I can get behind this a little bit. People are saying, what if the animated world they go into is the zombified animated world?
Okay.
And then through that comes zombified Doctor Strange and Wanda, because we see a Scarlet Witch and a Doctor Strange that look like zombies in the trailer in live action.
Yes.
So people are going, maybe that's the animated world they go through.
I feel like that's a bit of a stretch to say that that's where they come from.
Yeah, it is a bit of a stretch, but it's not a ridiculous stretch at the same time.
So, in regards to the zombie Doctor Strange, I'm guessing. So you might have seen the TV spot shot as well, because in the actual trailer, there's just the shot of him with the dark black rotted arms.
Yeah.
In the TV spot is when you see an actual shot of his face. So everyone's like, okay, they're the same Doctor Strange.
I think I've seen like loads of stills from the TV spot, but not actual footage, if that makes sense.
So yeah, I think the theory is that those dark, rotting arms, when he does the multiple arms thing in the trailer, is zombie Doctor Strange, because we kind of saw a similar thing happen in What If, wasn't it? Where he did that.
Yeah.
The zombie Doctor Strange did that. So people are putting that together.
Okay, so I think I have one more theory to kind of talk through, but that theory is going to lead us into the next talking point. And it's the big part of the trailer where he gets arrested and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any other non-related theory to that you want to discuss before we move on to that theory?
There's one thing, I guess, kind of keeping on this whole different Doctor Strange. Even though you've not seen the TV spot, have you seen the other photo shot of Doctor Strange where he is sort of in red and blue and his hair's got a strip through it missing?
That leads into my other theory, yeah.
Okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So the thing I was just going to say is, going off what we've seen, I'm predicting we have 4 different Doctor Stranges in this film.
At least, yeah. I think that's a very fair assumption. So that Doctor Strange you were talking about, thank you for leading me so beautifully into the start of my theory, is Defender Doctor Strange.
Okay, yeah, I had no idea who he was.
Yeah, I don't really know what that means. That's just how people are referring to him. I assume he looks like Doctor Strange did in a comics where he teamed up with the Defenders.
Right.
And there is this shot where that version of Doctor Strange and American Chavez are falling through a portal. But he looks very limp and almost dead-like Defender Strange.
Right.
And then straight after that shot, I believe, we then see the big structure of Doctor Strange outside the building.
Yes.
Which then leads into him being frog-marched by the Ultron bots into what looks like a courtroom.
Yes. Do you want to know a little Easter egg that someone's found out?
Go on.
That shot of him walking through...
Oh, I know this. It's so fucking cool. Tell everyone. Yeah, it's so cool.
I think I'm getting this correct, but it's the British Transport Museum? Or the British History Museum?
Yeah,
one of the two.
History Museum.
But someone that knows that place very well instantly recognised it and lined them up, and they've done a bit of CGI, but that's where they've shot the...
Yeah, they've shot that and then
cool
edited it. So as he walks in, you see the kind of side back of a bald-headed man, and that voice.
Very familiar.
I mean, it's Patrick Stewart's voice, isn't it? It just is. So I watched the trailer originally basically on mute. So when I saw the back of the head, I was like, "Oh, that could be him." And then I saw the internet guy nuts. I was like, "Guys, relax. It's just the back of a head." Then I realised there was actually audio that I hadn't heard with it. I was like, "Oh shit, no, that is Patrick Stewart back as Professor X."
Yeah. As soon as I heard the voice, I was like, "This has to be right."
So that courtroom
Mm-hmm.
is okay. So this is where it could get a bit messy, and I'm going to really try and stay on topic. So that courtroom looks like it's going to be the courtroom of the Illuminati, and I don't mean Jay-Z and Beyonce Illuminati. I mean Marvel's Illuminati.
Mm-hmm.
So the Illuminati in the comics were a group of the most intelligent characters in the Marvel universe who made the hard decisions between themselves without consulting anyone else.
Yeah.
That includes Namor the Submariner, Black Bolt, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, Professor X, and Reed Richards.
Right.
They're like the traditional ones.
Okay.
There's a couple of changes to that at different times. So, what people think is Defender Strange that we saw is part of that Illuminati.
Okay.
And they've arrested this Doctor Strange because they think he might be responsible for killing that Doctor Strange.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they think he might be an evil variant because they're all smart enough to know that an evil variant of each of them exists, and that person would be very dangerous.
Yeah.
So a lot of the discussion then is about who else is on the Illuminati.
Yeah.
We see 2 more silhouettes and a couple of empty chairs.
Mm-hmm.
One of the silhouettes looks quite tall and thin. People are assuming that might be a Mr. Fantastic.
Yep.
Which would make complete sense.
And trying to enhance and see if there's a number 4 on his chest.
So, see, they've zoomed in a little bit and they're like, there's a light little patch on, like, in the right kind of place for number 4 there. Yeah. And again, you know, it sounds so stupid, but it makes complete sense at the same time. So I can't go, oh, that's definitely not true. It could very well be true.
Yeah.
Then they also think the other silhouette, based on like the ways, like what you can see of the silhouette other than the chair, they think that might be Tom Cruise's superior Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who are confused as to why Tom Cruise he has to be the Iron Man variant. Him and Robert Downey Jr. were the last 2 in the running to play Iron Man, which is why everyone's convinced they've got him to come back for it, because they know he can play that character. Just so everyone's confused as to why I keep saying it's Tom Cruise. And that's when we just kind of have empty seats.
Yeah.
And then you see Baron Mordo, who we haven't seen or heard from since the end of Doctor Strange 1, where he took the crippled man's magic away, so he was crippled again. Yeah. Now, a lot of people are going, oh, maybe Mordo's on this Illuminati. The way he's creeping around the back and then slightly later in the trailer, like, attacks him in the middle of the courtroom, I don't think he is part of this Illuminati.
No.
I think he broke in to try and kill Doctor Strange before Doctor Strange could help them work out what the fuck's going on.
Okay, I have a different theory.
Okay.
So I don't think Doctor Strange is there for killing another Doctor Strange. I have a theory that maybe there's a variant of Kang on the Illuminati.
Okay.
And maybe this Illuminati is more focused on controlling the timeline.
Maybe.
And I wonder if why am I forgetting his name? The one that we just talked about creeping around.
Mordo.
I wonder if Mordo's gone to them saying that Doctor Strange has done all this shit fucking with the timeline, and he's the reason that Doctor Strange gets arrested because he feels he should be severely punished for it.
Maybe.
And maybe he's there because he's the one that's trying to get our Doctor Strange punished or killed or whatever, and then maybe it doesn't go that way and then he gets annoyed.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's where my head was with that. Because I get the sense that Mordo's more pissed off at him for our Strange thinking he can just change the timeline and mess with things.
Maybe.
and seems to want him punished for that.
I mean, Mordo just dislikes Strange's arrogance, full stop.
Yeah.
Like the last thing he says to Strange at the end of the first Doctor Strange film is everything comes due.
Yep.
So I think he just used this as a general time to take revenge more than anything specifically. He just doesn't think Doctor Strange is worthy.
Yeah, which is why I think maybe he went to Illuminati.
I like where your head's at.
Them to do it.
Really like where your head's at. And then the other rumor I've heard is, this is proper niche. I haven't even watched this show. So Marvel did a TV show called The Inhumans, which was set in the MCU. I think it has since been retconned because of how god awful it was.
I never watched it.
Yeah, it was that bad. It was cancelled, but it was cancelled before it aired its first episode. But they had already made 13 episodes, so they just aired them, and nothing got resolved as far as I know. It was god awful. So the actor who played Black Bolt in that, I'll give you a quick rundown for people who don't know. Black Bolt is king of the Inhumans, which are budget X-Men. He is in charge of all of them. His superpower is his voice destroys everything. So he has taken a vow of silence because otherwise he would destroy everything. He can use his voice to fly. There's a very cool comic book strip where Hulk goes to beat the shit out of Black Bolt, and Black Bolt like sends him flying by just whispering no at him. And then he goes, I didn't come here to hear you say no, I heard you come, I came here to hear you scream. And then he beat him so badly he made him scream. Very, very cool. Black Bolt's voice is just disgustingly powerful. That's what you need to be aware of. And he, like I said before, he's been a part of the Illuminati. People think the actor who played him in that TV show might be reprising his role because he actually wasn't bad in that. Granted, he didn't say anything, so it's difficult for him to be bad, but he kind of carried that presence quite well.
Yeah.
The script and the other stories and acting just let him down, I feel. So they're kind of giving him another chance here to see if it works, which I'm curious about. But what that gives us is an interesting... You're sitting there and you're going, okay, so there is rumours that are pretty strong that 5 of the original 6 members of the Illuminati are going to be in this film.
Yep.
Now, do you want the really fun bit?
Go on.
And this is, if this would make me very happy. He's one of my favourite characters on paper. I'm going to be honest, I haven't read any of his comics, but what I have seen about this character, and like he had like a little bit part in one of the first comics I owned, like I recently discovered, from when I was like 6. So Namor is the king of Atlantis.
Okay.
Yeah, Hori's just clocked where I'm going.
Maybe, but probably not, because I have a feeling any other business later links to this.
So in the comic book realm, Atlantis and Wakanda have long had conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been some leaks from the Black Panther set that shows lots of big swimming pools of water.
You stole my Black Panther update.
And it has long been rumoured that Namor would be the antagonist of Black Panther 2. I will be surprised if we don't see or get a tease of Namor in Doctor Strange 2. Being that he is the 6th member of the original Illuminati, and we have good reason to think we'll see the other 5. And the fact that it's pretty... I mean, I'd say we've got a better than not chance of him being one of the antagonists, at least, of the next Black Panther film.
Yep.
If we don't get a big tease about the empty chair, or we might just see the person, that might be how they reveal who's playing him, full stop.
Yeah, possibly.
I won't be surprised.
Yeah, so I had a note about this, which was going to be for a bit later when we get to our any other business. But I have also seen those leaked shots of from Black Panther and them in the tanks. So then looked into it more. So as soon as you said Atlantis, then I was like, oh, okay, this is all just making more sense, and it feels like that's definitely what is going on the shooting of Black Panther. And I think you're right. This would be a great way for them to use the actor, and then also just introduce the fact that Atlantis is a thing, and just kind of set it up that it's there. Or maybe they say he's not there because he's off dealing with Atlantis, and they just name drop the place.
Just all I can really say is Namor is one of the oldest comic book superheroes. He is one of the coolest comic book superheroes. And the only reason we didn't have him in the MCU sooner was because of licensing problems from when Marvel nearly went bust. They wanted, before the MCU, we had that really bad Hulk film.
Yeah.
They wanted the sequel to that to have Namor in it, but they just couldn't get the rights worked out. And I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, okay then.
For him to potentially make his big screen debut. And I cannot quite put into words how excited I am at the prospect of doing a character profile on him in the not too distant future.
Yeah, I think with what you're saying and different, it just even more things now, pointing to the fact that these leaks are legit.
So just to put it in perspective, I've recently changed rooms. I've mentioned it, Tori. It's not something that needs to be discussed on here. And while we were doing that, I found on my bookshelf a comic that I had vague recollection of. Let me see if I can find it here quickly. Yeah.
For those of you
this one right here.
Conor's a Spider-Man comic.
Yeah. From it looks like around the time Spider-Man 3 was coming out, which was 2007 by the looks of it, according to the back of this. So I would have been 8 years old at the time. So I had comic books before I even remember me having comic books. And I'm not sure if you can tell, but right there, that's Namor right there.
Okay.
So it's kind of a surreal thing for me, because when I found these, it was fully memory unlocked kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it actually, in a really weird way, has made me feel a little bit nostalgic and a little bit emotional. He could be so close to being on the big screen, when that's my first taste of superheroes ever in that kind of medium.
Yeah. It's cool.
So that's really given me quite a happy feeling that it looks very realistically on the cards.
Yeah, 100%. That's cool.
I don't think. Oh, I've got one more theory. See, this is what I'm talking about. Just a million. This one is proper shot in the dark. So just
okay.
Don't put any credit in this. We don't need to spend time picking it apart.
We hold Conor to this down to the bone.
People are wondering whether, in actuality, the Illuminati is in the main MCU Earth. And what if, pardon the pun, the reason Charles exists but no other mutants do is this is actually kind of post House of M, which was a comic run in which Wanda made all mutants disappear. And everyone's kind of wondering if they're going to take bits and pieces from that, or something like Professor X is using his telepathy to make everyone think mutants doesn't exist, or something like that. Super shot in the dark. I don't remotely believe it, but I'd be fuming if I saw that we didn't talk about it and then it ends up being true. So just to throw it out there, I don't hold a lot of stock in it. I think it would be very lazy writing. And I think unless they pulled it off superbly, it would just make me angry.
Staying on the location of the Illuminati, one of the first things when I was watching the trailer and that they showed that shot before you like zoomed in and saw him being led by Ultron robots. My initial like instant thought was, "Oh, it's the TVA."
It did kind of have that vibe,
which kind of then plays into my idea of like
Kang
there's a
knocking
Kang on the board, and maybe this is a variant of the TVA.
Maybe. I hadn't considered that. I like it. Possible.
Because then that way it can kind of exist in its own little pocket, which would then make sense why there's people from different universes are there. It's like it's just certain people, certain variants of characters are at this like one spot, and why there's no like other mutants or other like just was an instant. My initial thought when I saw the shot of the place, but then obviously we saw different stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, this might not be the TVA. But
no, it definitely gets. But that could just be like the authoritarian vibe to it.
Yeah, that's. It's kind of like hard to judge because obviously, like every variant of things can be so different if they want.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
One thing that I've talked about on previous episodes is my thought of how Doctor Strange becomes Sorcerer Supreme again. And I've said I think Wong's going to die at some point.
If Wong dies, we are going to get cancel horizontal trending. Because if you spoke on Wong's death into existence, Hori, I'll be looking for a new co-host.
I've said it in previous episodes that I think at some point Wong's going to die and Doctor Strange will regain the title of Sorcerer Supreme. There's a shot in the trailer where Wong is holding on and screams out to Strange, and I'm like, is this where Wong dies?
I don't think Wong dies. I think Wong replaces Strange in a different universe that no longer has a Sorcerer Supreme.
Interesting.
So we lose Wong, but they also don't kill him in case they want to use him again, because he's a fan favourite.
Being a fan favourite doesn't protect you anymore.
Just here's the thing: now that the multiverse is open, they can go into the more comic book. Yeah. They can go into the comic book bullshittery of kill someone off and just bring a new one in, which movie fans are going to take a little while to adjust to. Veterans are going to be like, "Oh, okay, cool." It's just how they do it.
Yeah, there was just a shot in the trailer, and I was like, Wong hanging onto a cliff.
So, talking of a little bit of multiverse bullshittery.
Oh.
Once upon a time, DC
in a galaxy
and
far away.
DC and Marvel did a crossover of the Justice League of America and the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 4-part miniseries. Some of the Avengers fought some of the Justice League. Some of them worked together to fight other things. It is notoriously difficult to come by, and is just a piece of comic book history. It is being reprinted this year. 7,000 copies of it, all for charity. All of the money is going to charity.
That's cool.
So I just want to make people aware of that. I know we plug comic book links here all the time. Trust me, if Forbidden Planet had it on pre-order availability right now, it would be plugged down there. If anyone knows of where to pre-order one right now, send me a Twitter DM. Because I'm trying to find somewhere to pre-order it. But this is just to let you guys know that they are being reprinted. So if you want a bit of that history, it's not been reprinted in like 25 to 30 years. So it's been a long old time.
Do you know what you want to go do? You should go to your local comic book guy again.
Yeah, I may well go to my local comic book guy and go, are you going to be able to get your hands on one of these, and can you get it for me?
Yeah, can you put one to the side?
It's being sold, recommended at $30, so not disgustingly expensive. But they're also putting extra stuff in it at the back of it. A couple of Stan Lee comics that were like part of it, I think, but like weren't printed or something. But it's all going to a good cause. It's a really cool kind of comic concept. It's part of history. just wanted to let you guys know in case you want to go out and get one. So there you go. I think they're coming out middle of March time. So the pre-orders might not be up yet, but they might well be.
Yeah. Pre-orders might not be up, but stores might already be
taking pre-orders. Yeah. Okay, before we move on to the Superhero Showdown, do we have anything else we need to discuss?
No, because we discussed my thing earlier.
do you want to take your time to just go through it again? Because we just kind of glanced over it.
Well, I did my usual thing of checking if Black Panther had started production, but it hadn't. But this last week, there's some set photos had leaked, or photos of on set of actors and cameramen and stuff in huge tanks of water, as they do for filming any underwater scenes in films. So then there has been rumours of Atlanteans and Namor and kind of that being part of the Black Panther 2 story. This kind of leans into it even more. And then since what Conor's been saying about the Illuminati, kind of all points in that direction. So it does seem like we are going to get Atlantis and Wakanda in the next Black Panther film, which is going to be interesting. Because I bet a lot of people don't even know that Atlantis is part of the MCU.
Well, it was teased like back in Iron Man 3, I want to say. There's
earthquakes underwater.
Yeah, well, that was more recent. That was Endgame. Okay. But there's a bit, I want to say it's Iron Man 3. Please, if someone knows what film this happened in, please do let me know, because I can't remember what. But it is definitely, I say definitely, I don't. It's Nick Fury and I think Tony Stark talking to each other in a room. And there's a big screen in the background. And they've got red pinpoints on like major cities around the world. And then there's just one right in the middle of the ocean.
That might be Iron Man 3.
So everyone like back then was going, hey, that's like a cool little nod to Atlantis. Shame they're not allowed to use Namor. Oh well. And now like that kind of got teased again in Endgame with like the underwater earthquakes, and now we're at a point where we might be getting it.
I think and it's very, very exciting. Which was those back then were just subtle nods to it.
Yeah.
It was never like a planned thing. But it's one of those things where like things have changed over time, and because they've had those hints and just kind of like nods to stuff, it allows them to now tie stuff in.
When you're building something as big as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it is always, and I mean always, worth winking at something that you're not allowed to do right now, just in case you get the opportunity to do it.
Which I hope this is the case. And I hope we do get to see. I think it would be super cool to see like an Atlantis and them explain what the hell they've been doing all this time. And that's another thing where they're going to have to be like, why didn't you get involved in Endgame? But
okay. I think we're ready for our Superhero Showdown.
I think we are.
I do have some Batman stuff. I'm going to save that for next week when we're not just flogging the dead horse that is Marvel. So this week's Superhero Showdown is the MCU Winter Soldier versus the CW network, so the Arrow versus Deathstroke.
Now I have a question. Are we doing Winter Soldier before he's gone through?
We are saying he is still the Winter Soldier. So when he was still doing hits for Hydra.
Yep. Okay. I don't know who wants to go first.
So there are a lot of similarities between these characters.
Yep.
I'm going to just preface this. The Winter Soldier is not Marvel's rip-off of Deathstroke. Marvel's rip-off of Deathstroke is a little-known character called Deadpool. Wade Wilson, Slade Wilson put it together. They were literally taking the mick out of the character. Winter Soldier is similar, but at the end of the day, when you're writing comic books, you're going to get similarities.
Oh, yeah.
So Slade Wilson is an Australian mercenary who enlisted against the law when he was 16, and then became part of some kind of medical trial, and then became disillusioned with the army, became a mercenary. Faster, stronger, smarter, more talented with weapons. He is an animal.
Yes.
Then you have the Winter Soldier, who obviously worked with Captain America in the Second World War as part of the Howling Commandos, as James Buchanan Barnes. He then fell to his death, quote unquote, where Hydra then grabbed him, threw a metal arm on him, brainwashed him and turned him into their personal hitman that they rolled out of cryostasis whenever they needed to kill someone, such as JFK or the Starks.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. If we were talking comic books, I'm going Deathstroke instantly.
Oh.
Because he's just fucking OP. However, I would feel pretty confident that you'd agree with me in saying that MCU Winter Soldier bitch slaps Arrow versus Oliver Queen.
Yes. Whether bitch slap is the word I'd use, but...
No, I think he kind of bitch slaps him. But that's neither here nor there, because like I said, I haven't watched the end of Arrow, so maybe Oliver gets more OP as time goes on. And I think the level that Slade was operating at in the CW is so much lower than his comic book counterpart. I think I have to give it to Deathstroke because of the what they've had to deal with. The Winter Soldier has been a deadly assassin for 70 years. People weren't even sure he existed. And you've got Deathstroke, who was kind of nerfed for the TV show.
So I have my thought process with this was they're both highly skilled with guns and kind of hand-to-hand stuffing. And I agree, the Deathstroke in CW is not nearly as strong as the comic book one. But I think that was just down to when they introduced him and how early on into Oliver Queen or whatever. I would say that this fight might not necessarily be Winter Soldier bitch slapping, like just destroying Deathstroke.
I don't think it's that cut and dry either, because Deathstroke is still very smart.
I think what happens is it's just a distance. It's very even of a fight because they're both highly skilled with their weapons, and if they try and do anything at distance, they're just going to be pretty equally matched. I think what tips it in with Soldier's favor is as soon as he gets into like close combat range, mainly that metal arm is just going to block and break any gun or weapon that Deathstroke has, to the point where it's like you have Deathstroke with no weapons, just pure hand-to-hand, and then you've got a guy with a metal arm who is brainwashed to be relentless till he gets to his goal.
And also a super soldier serum.
Also that. But doesn't Deathstroke have a certain part of healing factor, if I remember correct?
A very little one. It's not
CW.
Ridiculous. I don't know if his CW counterpart did. I think his CW counterpart was just like faster, stronger, but also crazier.
So I think it just comes down to the fact that Winter Soldier is so, because of the brainwashing, he is relentless to the point till he gets his job done, that like even if he gets injured or whatever, he's just going to keep pushing through it, and he's just going to overpower and eventually beat Deathstroke. That's how I saw it.
Also, what I'll say about the CW Deathstroke is, bearing in mind Deathstroke's always been a mercenary, CW's Deathstroke was the least professional I've ever seen, in the sense of he was a bit more emotional.
Yeah.
And I think the Winter Soldier would find a way to abuse that. I think it is a brilliant fight. I think whatever city it takes place in is in shambles afterwards because these guys are so well matched for each other. But I think, like you said, Winter Soldier's relentlessness is too much for anyone.
Yeah, and I think it's just like there's only so much where like they can try and use their different weapons or whatever, and like Deathstroke can back away, try and use it like guns or whatever. But there's just gonna come a point where he's gonna have to face him hand to hand, and that point is where Winter Soldier's just gonna like he's got a metal arm, super serum, like he's just gonna make CW Deathstroke especially just fold, just crumple him.
Exactly.
I think that unfortunately for the CW Deathstroke, he was a character that was introduced so early in the CW show.
They had to nerf him a little bit, yeah.
So, yeah, I think MCU Winter Soldier wins this by not super easily, but like
I'm going to give him a 75-25.
Yeah, I'd say it's like Winter Soldier's getting hurt, but at the end of the day, like that won't stop him.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's all we have for this week.
Yeah, I think so.
So we talked about Commissioner Gordon, feels like a lifetime ago.
It does.
The Moon Knight TV spot, the madness that was Doctor Strange, and obviously the very exciting reprint of the Justice League of America Avengers comic crossover reprint.
Yes.
So, as per usual, like us on whatever your podcast chosen podcast app is. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and turn the bell on so that you don't miss videos. I think the plan is going forward, the segments are going to be uploaded. So if you want to just go back at any point and rewatch our theory video for Doctor Strange after Doctor Strange has come out to laugh at how wrong or right we were, you'll be able to go back and do that. Or if you don't like listening to the whole podcast in one go and you'd like to be able to break it up a little bit more, that's there for you. So make sure you're subscribing that. Obviously, we've got the shorts that will keep going up on YouTube and on TikTok. So make sure you're following us all over there. Make sure you follow us on Twitter as well, because there's a lot of the time we'll retweet stuff there that's just interesting. That it's interesting in the sense of it's worth a little read and given 5 seconds of your time, not so much so that we can talk about it.
Yeah.
So I think
day to day.
There's like a level there that's worth. Don't get me wrong, there'll be some stuff on there that we retweet that's obviously going to get discussed. Like we retweeted the trailer for Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
But there is going to be some stuff that just we don't talk about because it's relatively insignificant, but you might still care about it.
Yeah, and also Twitter. If you want to find out our initial reaction to like when the Doctor Strange trailer came out, it's for that sort of thing. So
yeah, exactly.
Go follow.
But yeah, so make sure you find us everywhere. Like I said, cutscene combos literally everywhere. If you can't find us, you're doing something wrong. We're that easy to find.
Or we're doing something wrong.
Yeah. So thank you as always. Let us know if you want a particular Superhero Showdown next week. Let us know what cameo you want to see in Doctor Strange.
Ooh, yeah.
And we will catch you next week.
Yeah. I'll say that for next week.
Oh, that's a horrible little Easter egg. Okay.
Catch you on the next one.
Catch you next time, guys.